So we are going to find compound events today in 7.3, and our learning goal, I can find sample spaces and probabilities of compound events. So first let's take a look at vocab. So first we have compound events, and this is made up of two or more events. Pretty basic. So the next one is sample space. And this would be the set of all possible outcomes of one or more events. So let's look at our example. So example 1 is finding a sample space using a tree diagram. And so you randomly choose a bread, which they're both over here, and then a type of sandwich. So we need to pick what type of meat we want. Find a sample space on how many different sandwich possibilities there are. So, first thing we do is put the two types of bread in the two boxes. So we have wheat or sourdough bread, and those are our only two options right now. Then we need to list out each type of meat, and I'm just going to put the first letter just because to write all of that is a lot and it'll take up a lot of your time. So we have ham, we have turkey, we have steak, and we have chicken. And if we choose sourdough bread, we have, again, ham, turkey, steak, or chicken. So when we look at our outcomes, we can have wheat bread with ham, wheat bread with turkey, wheat bread with steak, or wheat bread with chicken. Then we have sourdough bread, and we can have that with ham. We can have sourdough bread with turkey. We can have sourdough bread with steak, or we can have sourdough bread with chicken. So there are how many outcomes? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible outcomes. So that means that there are 8 different types of sandwiches that we can choose from. So even though you only have 2 choices of bread and 4 choices of meat, you have the possibility of making 8 different types of sandwiches. So now the sandwich shop adds another bread into the mix. They're going to add multigrain. And we are going to keep the same amount or the same types of meat. So again, we have ham, we have turkey, we have steak, and we have chicken. So our outcomes here, we have the multigrain bread with ham, we have the multigrain bread with turkey, we have the multigrain bread with steak, or we have the multigrain bread with chicken. And we're going to use that with our ones from above. So we had 8 possible outcomes above. So then this would be 9, 10, 11, and 12. So now by adding just one more bread type, we have 12 different possible sandwiches instead of 8, just by adding one type of bread. So now let's take a look at using a table. So it says find the number of outcomes for rolling a number cube. That's just a fancy way of saying a die, a 6-sided cube, and flipping a coin. So on a coin we have heads or we have tails, and on the dice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So we can roll one of those 6 numbers. So with heads, I can get heads and a 1, or I could flip a tails and roll a 1 on the number cube. I can roll I can flip heads and get a number 2 on the die, or I can get tails and a number 2. I can flip heads and roll a 3, or I can flip heads and tails and roll a 3. I can flip heads and roll a 4, or I can flip tails and roll a 4. I can flip heads and get a number 5, or I can flip tails and get a number 5, or I can flip heads and roll a 6, or I can flip tails and roll a 6. So how many possible outcomes are there? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 possible outcomes. So now I want you to try, and I know on your notes it's in black and white, but here are the colors over here. So it says that we are trying to figure out the possible outcomes for spinning the random spinner and randomly choosing a number 1 through 3. So 1 through 3 goes on the side, and then we're going to put the colors on top. So blue, green, red, and yellow. So I want you to do this on your own, and then you will check your answers with mine in the next video.